Hi, this is Mrs. Nelson. We're going to continue our place value understanding by looking at what it looks like when I divide numbers by 10. So our objective says I can recognize place value patterns when dividing by 10. We're going to practice dividing by 10, a few numbers dividing by 10 so we can see that pattern. So before, in a previous video, we multiplied by 10, and when we multiplied by 10, we shifted everything to the right, to the left, excuse me, shifted everything to the left to make it 10 times bigger. So 4 ones became 4 tens when I multiplied by 10. So when I divide by 10, I'm going to be making the numbers 10 times smaller. So instead of shifting to a larger place value, I'm going to shift to a smaller place value. So 4 divided by 10, I'm going to take that 4 from the ones place and I'm going to shift it over to the tenths place. And to make it pop, to make it so it's easier to see that that's 4 tenths, I will put a 0 in front of the decimal so that decimal stands out and is easier to recognize. So this number is 4 tenths. Read it to me. 4 tenths is correct. So 4 divided by 10 is a number that's 10 times smaller. I just shifted one place value smaller. Okay, this number is 6 and 3 tenths. Read it with me, please. 6 and 3 tenths. I'm going to take 6 and 3 tenths and also divide it by 10. So I need to make each of those parts 10 times smaller. So dividing by 10, I'm making a smaller number. So the 6 moves from the ones place to the tenths place, and the 3 moves from the tenths place to the hundredths place. So again, to make that decimal pop and easier to see, I'm going to put a 0 in the ones place. Now let's read this number. Again, we could say 0 and, but we don't usually say it if there's nothing to the left of the decimal. We just read the decimal name. And that's why it is really important that we understand how to communicate those decimal names, and it's also going to help us convert later to fractions. So we read the numbers as is, so that says 63, and then we label it by the place value name for the last digit. So the 3 is in the hundredths place, so we'd read that as 63 hundredths. Read it with me, please. 63 hundredths. So 6 and 3 tenths divided by 10 equals 63 hundredths. Say that with me. 6 and 3 tenths divided by 10 is 63 hundredths. All right, here is another number. Let's read it together. This is 58 and 1 tenth. Read it with me. 58 and 1 tenth. I'm going to take 58 and 1 tenths and I'm going to make that 10 times smaller. So I need to make each of those digits 10 times smaller by moving them to a smaller place value. So 5 moves from the tens place to the ones place, 8 moves from the ones place to the tenths place, and 1 moves from the tenths place to the hundredths place. And I'm left with 5 and 81 hundredths. So if I was going to take 50 and divide it by 10, I'd get 5. So it makes sense when I have 58 and 1 tenth and I divide that by 10, I'm going to have an answer that starts with 5. 5 and 81 hundredths. Now what would we do if we divided by 100? We'd do the same thing, except we would shift it 2 places. So 4 divided by 100, I would move it 2 places smaller and I would get 4 hundredths. So dividing by 100, 1,000, any multiple of 10 would be the same. We're just going to shift each of the digits more place values to make the number even smaller than it was before. Our objective says I can recognize place value patterns when dividing by 10. Thanks for watching.